Hello, and welcome to a very special edition of my Sketchbook tour series, the Inktober Sketchbook Challenge. For the whole month of October, I drew every single day in this cute mini sketchbook I picked up at TK Maxx. I'll put the details of it in the description if anybody wants them. I popped a tiny Emmerich in the Conus on there for good luck. Stickers by Solella Art. Because if you didn't know, 2024 was the run-up to the release of Dragon Age Veilguard, which dropped on the 31st. Probably also the reason I picked up the purple sketchbook, honestly. Anyway, of the many sketchbook prompt lists that were available, I decided to do the Endicott's Teaparty prompt list, created by Lani Lavandula on Instagram, mostly because the prompt list itself looked so stinking cute, I couldn't resist it. I love Over the Garden Wall and Sarah's work, but this list just looked so visually appealing, I knew I had to try it. And because I have the Wes and the means as a sticker maker, I made a sticker of it to pop on the inside cover of the sketchbook so I'd never forget the prompt that day. So the first major hiccup of this arty journey was that my partner and I were traveling to Dublin on the 1st to visit our friends and watch the Dungeons and Daddies live show. I stuck in a picture of the four of us and some shots our friend took of the show itself, just as a memento. I think maybe I had a notion that I wanted to use this as a sort of scrapbook too, but then I realized I don't actually go anywhere or do anything, usually. Day one, the prompt was secrets. I was on a train though, and it was like trying to draw on the back of a jello monster, so I just kept it simple. I had a pastel purple fine liner and I just went straight in drawing some Plague Doctor guys to amuse my partner who loves Plague Doctors. I did think at the start of this book also it'd be fun to keep a color theme, but that notion really quickly left me a few pages in. Still day one, still on the train. I had brought this mechanical pencil with me that I got for cheap off the TikTok shop. It came with a bunch of colored leads and I liked the look of the pink one, but when I was actually drawing with it, it was way too faint. I will say though, for the purpose of train drawing, that was a win because I always get so self-conscious and think people are looking at what I'm doing and judging it. So if I can barely see it, I knew they couldn't either, which made this whole thing a lot easier. I wanted to do something more to the prompt, so I decided to draw my D&D character Hart. He's this big tiefling paladin and he has so many secrets, even he doesn't know them all, so that just felt more fitting. We had just had a session a few days before, so it was fresh in my mind. In the top left corner, I also did a thumbnail for a Red Dead 2 piece I wanted to make that I still haven't. I did think I just wanted to go easy on myself and not create any masterpieces for this challenge. Just the act of drawing every day would be enough. So this spread is still day one, except I've started to draw little comics. On this side, my Sona is getting upset because they need to pee, but the train bathroom is stinky. And then below, it's my Sona again, getting nervous every time the train stops in case someone wants to sit next to me, because my partner and I had taken a table together so we could draw. On the next page, it's my Sona in their happy place, slightly listening to metal to calm down from all the stress, but below, the issue of me being unable to control myself and drumming on the table, annoying my partner probably, and all of the people around me. Yeah, finally, day two. I'm back on the train after the show, and the prompt is armchair, which I decided to take more literally. I did some wobbly sketches of what a chair made of arms might look like, and then made a silly fake poster for an armchair advertisement, plus some studies of my own hand. I'm still sticking to this purple and turquoise color scheme for now, as you can see. I added some watercolor to it later as well when I got home. Day 3, Ruby. I had fun just doing random little doodles again on top of the page. I used that same pink mechanical pencil to draw some ruby crystals and gems. Then below I did a portrait of my Inquisitor from Dragon Age, Aiden, who has red lyrium valisline. It's a long, harrowing story for another time. On the next page, I drew a ruby cat, and below that, a ruby witch casting a spell with her focus, and then I drew my partner's dry Nan with his ruby arm, a gift from the Raven Queen, and Hart again with his red armor, which was meant to mirror Nan's. I was mostly using pencil and some fine liners here because I was afraid of markers bleeding through the paper, you know? Day 4, Shore. There is a lot of Red Dead Redemption 2 stuff in this book because I was playing so much of it to try and finish the game before Veilguard came out. So I tried doing a portrait of Arthur Morgan here because I'm obsessed with how he says sure.
Sure. You sure? Sure. Sure. Sure.
and it's entered my vocabulary now. I don't think it really looks like him, but it was my first time trying to draw him, I think. I added some little flowers from the game with pastel fine liners for a flourish. Then I felt like I was prompt dodging, so I did this watercolor shoreline with my usual color palette on the other side. I don't know if it's the cheap watercolors or the paper not being the right treatment for them, but the colors just sit on top of the paper with this really chalky residue. It's really annoying. I don't know if you can see it on my hand. I need to try my slightly more expensive watercolors on this book at some point just to see if they're the same. Just completed the serial killer missions, and so I did these pencil drawings of some of the messages he left behind at the crime scenes, along with the map and the cabin you find him in at the end, or what's left of the cabin, I guess. I was kind of annoyed at the bit at the bottom because the text didn't stand out very well, but Day 6 Mountain, more Red Dead influence. I didn't have a lot of time after work, so I did this quick watercolor of some mountains and trees inspired by the game. I was really focused on making the lake look reflective at the bottom, and I think it came out pretty nice. Day 7 Soup. I think I maybe cheated a little with this one. I wanted to do more Red Dead stuff, so I found someone on Reddit. I wrote their username at the bottom of the page, but they had recreated the camp stew and posted the recipe up, so I decided to illustrate the ingredients. Added a watercolor coating to it later, but I kind of regret it. I think the pencil work looked nicer by itself, but I did take a scan of it before I colored it at least, so I still have that to fondly look back on. I do like how some of it looks, like the oil and the carrots, maybe the meat, but it feels weird to say that as vegetarian. Day 8 Chamomile. I didn't have a lot of time for this one. I just doodled while I sat in the living room with my partner after work. It was really low light, so I couldn't always tell if what I was doing looked good, but it was pretty relaxing. Like chamomile. But I drew a chamomile inspired fairy crown and wand, and then made a little chamomile lion. Drew a tea bag, and then painted some chamomile flowers on the other page. And of course, I had to draw a cowboy drinking some chamomile tea that actually kind of looks like a cup of soup. I think I should get points just for attempting the hat, honestly. And I actually had ordered a set of acrylic markers that were on sale, the Arrtx Simptaps, and I had expected them to arrive on this day, but they hadn't. So this drawing I did really big and chunky with the mindset of coloring it with them. When they didn't come, I just finished it with pencils. I don't really like the color, but it was supposed to be my Sona falling from the sky. I did a perspective on it that works better in some parts than others, but I think like points to me for attempting it off the dome without references. And then I finished it up with some spiraling clouds like I did in an old TMA piece of Jerry is the Best. I might like to do this one again now that I actually have the markers, but we'll see. Day 10 Crow. So maybe you can tell that the markers did arrive today. I wanted to do some more graphic pieces with them to test the colors, and I found out that crows are actually sort of rainbow colored, but our eyes can't perceive them in all of their majesty. But I wanted to do some colorful little guys. I did mess up on the beak of the littlest one because the color flooded the page, and I tried to clean it up with the white marker, but it just looks like Tipex because the paper has a slight yellow to it. Anyway, I like these ones, and I really enjoyed experimenting with adding text and more graphic elements. Day 11 Journal. My partner and I had been binge watching Gravity Falls, so I felt legally obligated to do the journals for this one. I ran out of time when I was working on the portal, so it looks janky as hell, but I really love doing the actual books. I thought they looked great, and I had fun rotating them in space along with the sheets of paper. Plus, I find that I love lining them with pencils afterwards. It's not perfect, but I really like this one. Day 12 Folk. I went back to just doodling rather than attempting one big piece today. I have my D&D character Frantic over here with his iconic galaxy cloak, and of course, because the prompt list is over the garden wall inspired, I had to do a little work too. And at the bottom I added Edna mode because, you know. Day 13 Cicada. So because I was really investing my time in traditional art around the same time, I had started following sketches of Shay's Sketchbook Club prompts every week, and I think this was the day I spent all morning catching up with some older prompts and then forgot about my actual daily prompt. I did a little research about cicadas because we don't get them here, and I found out about cordyceps cicadas and met a cool little zombie one inspired by The Last of Us and just went nuts with the colors for fun. I had to be pretty quick with it, and I think also pretty quiet because my partner was filming for their YouTube channel in the room, and I was very gently trying to take out markers every few minutes. Day 14, Nettles. I think this was a more personal piece. I was doing it while we watched Smile, I think. I wanted to get this feeling of being compressed and choked by weeds, and added these horizontal lines to add to the claustrophobia of it. Also didn't reference the pose, so please don't tell me how bad the anatomy is. Day 15, Honey. So it was around this day that I started having massive issues with the Simptap markers. Even though I was using them daily, they started to separate really bad, and the pigment would leak into the nibs and make them a completely different color from what they were supposed to be or what they were when I first used them. Even with excessive shaking to mix them, it meant that with the goblin here especially, her skin tone went completely wrong, and I had to put down 2 or 3 layers of other colors to try and correct it, and it was just this blotchy mess by the end. Bees and the honey and my honey night came out okay, I think. I contacted customer support, and Arrtx were really cool in helping me. I actually had recorded the swatching, thankfully, and showed them some of the other issues I was having, and they told me it was to do with an air pressure issue, I think. I showed them the difference in my initial swatches and the new swatches a few days later, and they ended up giving me a refund so I could try a different set. And the new set, the non-Simptap ones, have been really, really great. Day 16, Explorer. I don't love this one. I had issues with it again with the markers. I messed up the text in the middle, which is supposed to be a reference to a joke from the games.
I'm Commander Shepard, and this is my favorite store on the Citadel.
And then I had an issue with the Earth I had drawn where I added some clouds to it, and it just looked so bad. I don't know, but Astrofell's cute little face is cute, I think. Day 17, Manor. So maybe I hit a bit of a slump. After the previous 2 days kind of felt bad to me, I sort of half-assed this one. I wasn't feeling inspired by the prompt, and I was a little tired after work, but because it was autumn and I had been watching the Gilmore Girls again, I decided to draw some shots of the front of the Gilmore estate because it's manor-y, and then I scribbled in a little iron bowl to fill the space. Day 18, Acorn, and Day 19, Thorn. I had just gotten the new acrylic markers, so I tested the color range for the Acorn prompt. It was a much smaller set than the last one, so I had less to work with. I tried to get more realistic-ish with the first one, but didn't really have the right shades for it, so the second Acorn I drew, I just played with cute pinks and purples. And because I didn't fill the page, the next day I used the space for Thorn and did this fun graphic piece with someone pricking their finger, maybe a princess. The finger is a little weird, I think, but overall I do like this one. Day 20, Banana Bread. I think I just had to draw some bananas for work, so I wanted to be more literal about the banana bread prompt. But my partner said it looked like Legend of Zelda food, so that's honestly a win. Day 21, Fangs. I started Fangs by filling in the rest of the page with some doodles of my cat, Puka, and then a random cat that I hate the pose of. And then I wanted to draw vampires and stuff, so I did another spread on the next page. So this is my D&D OC Frantic again, but as a vampire, looking very saucy. And below it is Alice, who I have this AU with my partner, which is loosely based on Interview with a Vampire, where their OC Charlie is turned by Frantic, and they eventually end up adopting Alice as their little vampire daughter. Anyway, it's cute. She has little hearts, so it's cute. Day 22, Sword. I wasn't sure what to do for this one at first, but my friends and I had been regularly meeting up in our server to watch Dungeon Meshi, so it's been in the back of my head a lot. So I decided to draw a close-up of Kensuke, and I think I really like how it came out. It was just fun messing around with the colors. Day 23, Crochet, but I had seen this cute frog video my friend sent me, and I wanted to do something with it, so I did. I also forgot Crochet is the one with the hook and not the needles, so I had to change my composition. You might actually still be able to see the needles there. And I don't really like how the crocheted frog came out, but I like the guy on the right. Day 24, smoke. I felt back in my element today. I started combing the usable markers from the Simptaps set and the new ones I got, and I had to draw some lost fan art for today because it's all I could think about. So I did the epic showdown between Mr. Echo and the smoke monster, and then I drew the man in black down here and some tokens from the Senate game he plays with Jack up at the top. I just had fun with the colors, and I'd been starting to hark back to the color scheme I wanted from the start of the book today and in yesterday's prompt. I really like how this page came out, to be honest. It's one of my favorites. Day 25, Rain Glide. I kind of feel like I phoned this one in. I did it really quickly before work and just drew without any thought or planning. I came up with the idea of rain glides being sentient creatures, and this one having went down to Earth to see what was happening down there, but it sort of poisoned him, and he left, but was forever changed. Day 26, Treasure. Back on that Red Dead thing. I did this Dutch Vanderland thing. Always needs a little bit more money to solve all of his problems. And then another page, I did a Jim Hawkins from Treasure Planet with a treasure bug at the top from Dungeon Meshi. I'd drawn one of these before for a Patreon headshot with one of our members, Dungeon Meshi OC, so I thought it'd be fun to try it again traditionally, and I think it came out pretty okay. Day 27, Rococo. I was a little confused on what to do for this one, but that word always makes me think of Animal Crossing. So I looked up some of the characters who decorate their homes with Rococo stuff and just drew them. It was really fun to draw in the like Animal Crossing style again. It's been a while. We watched Lisa Frankenstein finally while I was doing this one, so I don't know, maybe that's why the colors are popping off. Day 28, Celestial. I had the idea to do my Circle of Stars druid Huxley for this one. His mini had been staring at me, demanding that I draw him. So I flooded the paper and dropped colors from my cheap watercolor set again to make the galaxy background, and then used the acrylic marker to make stars and constellations. And then I drew him over here with his journal. I loved making his amethyst horns so much. It was just a combo of the acrylic markers and pencils to line it, but I just think they came out amazing. I love them. Day 29, Orange. I honestly just really wanted to draw an anthro bunny selling oranges at an apparently bilingual market. I didn't know the symbols for the numbers or the word open for definite, but hopefully the rest of it is right. I love this piece a lot though. I usually shy away from doing cutesy stuff so often, but when it comes out cute, it just makes me so happy. And then I realized later that the bunny actually just looks like an Eevee, which, I don't know, is even better to me. Day 30, Harvest Ball. I was lost on this one again at first, but because the orange bunny made me so happy, I wanted to try something similar here, but a bit extra because I had the time to play with. So I started with a pencil sketch for my idea, and then I used watercolor to lay down the base, and then started adding acrylic markers for detail and finished it up with pencil just to tighten everything up. Like, I don't love it overall, but it was really fun to experiment with this and see what textures I could get, and I do like some parts of it a lot. The banner flag, for instance, I think is pretty cool, and I like how bright the colors are on the pumpkins, and the moon also looks pretty neat. Day 31, Beast. It was the last day, and because it was the Dragon Age Veilguard release day, I decided it was fitting to finish with a tribute to the series. I drew the Dreadwolf and tried to imitate some of the features of the tarot art from the other games. The purple was for the new game, the green was for the last game. I don't think I finished on my strongest piece, but I genuinely do like this one a lot. Also, having played through Veilguard almost twice at this point, I can say with my whole heart that I adored it, and it was absolutely worth the wait. Nothing's ever perfect, just like the sketchbook, but there's so much to love in it, and it made me feel so inspired to create even more. Yeah, that's everything, I think. This book is far from finished, but I actually managed to draw every day for October. I love the prompt list too, and it was so fun seeing what other people created. Thank you so much for watching to the end. If you like this kind of content, please like and consider subscribing for more. Leave a comment and let me know which page was your favorite, and if you did any prompt lists this year, how did it go? I'll be back to my regular sketchbook tours in the next video. Big thanks to my partner Lev for editing this one and helping me finish it finally after so many technical issues. Thanks again for watching, and Hopefully I'll see you in the next one.